Psalms 8, verse 3, 4, and 9 says, when I consider thy heavens, the work of thy fingers, the moon and the stars which thou hast ordained, what is man that thou art mindful of him? O Lord, our Lord, how excellent is thy name in all the earth. So the heavens are supposed to tell us something about the magnificence of God, according to the scriptures. Now, if you look out there into space, you will see huge concentrations of stars. And this is basically a problem. You see, if the universe was at any stage contracted onto an infinitesimal point, and it then exploded, poof, and spread out into the vastness of space, then you would expect that this matter would be uniformly distributed. This is called the cosmological principle. Uniform distribution of all that there exists in this vast universe. But you don't see that. In actual fact, what you see is a concentration of material in clusters and groups in various places. Also, what you see is spiraling galaxies, huge galaxies and super galaxies clustered together, spiraling around each other. And you would not expect that. You would expect a uniform distribution of matter. In actual fact, you wouldn't expect anything. Because if there was an explosion of first energy, which later materialized into matter, there would be equal quantities of matter and antimatter, which would destroy each other. And so basically a universe should consist only of energy, if there was ever such an occurrence. But of course it doesn't. There is a tremendous propensity of matter and not antimatter. Nehemiah chapter 9 verse 6 says, you alone are the Lord. You made the heavens, even the highest heavens, and all the starry host, the seas and all that is in them. You give life to everything, and the multitudes of heaven worship you. This is in total contrast to a naturalistic idea of origins. Now, so according to the Big Bang Theory, the universe was created between 10 and 20 billion years ago from the random cosmic explosion. That's the basic idea. And Alan Guth and Steinhardt in Scientific American in 1984 wrote, the observable universe could have evolved from an infinitesimal region, that means a dot, maybe smaller than a dot, maybe some conjecture smaller than the size of an atom. It is then tempting to go one step further and speculate that the entire universe evolved from literally nothing. That's rather interesting. This is a scientific statement made by scientists in a scientific journal. And the idea seems to be that everything was concentrated in a dot, exploded, and this explosion came from nothing and created everything. So the philosophical assumptions you have to deal with are, firstly, a general relativity and the cosmological principle. And that basically says that everything should be spread out evenly if ever anything did materialize, but it's not the case. We see everything concentrated in clusters, and this is problematic. As the professor of astrophysics at Nottingham University admits, we're lost. The foundations of the Big Bang model would crumble away. We'd be left with no explanation for the Big Bang or galaxy formation or the distribution of galaxies in the universe. So there are scientists who are saying, why is this matter not uniformly distributed? And then there's another problem. The Big Bang also violates the law of conservation of angular momentum. Now let me explain that. You see, everything is turning around. When you look at our solar system, the planets are moving around the stars, the moons are moving around the planets, everything is moving in circles. Now if there was an explosion sometime in the past from a center, and this explosion went poof in every single direction, then whatever shot out from there shot out in straight lines in every single direction. But that's not what we see. You see, we see angular momentum, not linear momentum. We see everything going round and round and round and round. So now the question is, how come it's going round and round instead of the other way around? The fact of the matter, it is going round and round and round. So the idea then came to mind, well, there is one possibility that could explain why everything is going round and round. Maybe that original dot was also going round and round. Does that make sense? Now, if you can imagine a bunch of kids sitting on one of those merry-go-round things in a fun park. And this thing is going round and 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 round at speed. If that thing happened to go so fast that the kids a lot later hang on and centrifuge to the outside, and then goes so fast that the kids actually lose their hold and go flying off, then the law of the maintenance of angular momentum says that they will be spinning while they fly off in the same direction as the object was spinning originally. So if it was going clockwise, then they will spin off clockwise. Does that make sense? So that can explain why everything is going round and round. Because maybe originally the dot went round and round. And yes, everything is going round and round, and that needs to be explained. And wherever you look in this vast space, you'll find things going round and round. And as science has said, they will be flying off in all the various directions. Amos 5 verse 8 says, "Seek him that makes the Pleiades and Orion." It's interesting that it names these two star systems. And the Pleiades, or the seven sisters, is what is known as a bound cluster. That's very fascinating. Can you bind the chains of Pleiades? Can you keep them together? Which is what science has recently discovered, that it in fact is a bound cluster. That means the gravity within the system is equal to the force that wants to separate them, so it stays together. In contrast, loose the cords of Orion. The systems in the belt of Orion are flying apart at breathtaking speed. Fascinating that that should be in Job 38 verse 31. But the general principle is that things seem to be moving apart and moving round and round, sometimes in intricate patterns. But the problem is the globular clusters and the concentration of the matter in the universe, which should be uniformly distributed, but is not. Even Einstein recognized this problem and came up eventually with ideas to counter it. But they're theoretical and not practical solutions. So this law of the conservation of angular momentum, what does it mean? Everything in the universe is spinning. Planets, stars, galaxies. It would take an enormous amount of energy to start a planet spinning, something that's called inertia. So advocates of the Big Bang Theory propose that the singularity, that little dot, blew up and the Big Bang was spinning before it exploded. Thus, everything within it was spinning as it flung out. But now there's a problem. However, some galaxies, some planets, for example, Venus, Uranus, Pluto, many moons are spinning backwards. That's called retrograde motion. It's going the wrong way around. Some moons even have a retrograde orbit around the planet, going the wrong way. Some are going this way and some are going the other way. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune have moons orbiting in both directions. Now, this is a serious problem. Here's a galaxy called NGC 4622, which appears to be rotating in the opposite direction. The whole galaxy going the other way around. Now, this is another serious problem. What do you do with all these things that are going the wrong way around? Planets and moons and all of these things that are going the wrong way around. What do you do with them? Well, the problem is that you would have to say something stopped the spin and put it in the other way. That would have to be such a force that would probably shoot the whole planet apart, and you would have to do it all over the place, even within the same systems. A highly improbable event. So even that seems to violate the idea. There are many scientists who feel that there are many problems with the Big Bang. Here's an article in Nature which says the Big Bang is not yet dead, but is in the decline. And it also says that it implies that some of these findings imply an age of the universe much smaller than the known ages of the stars and the globular clusters of the galaxy. So as far as the Big Bang theory is concerned, the proponents for and against both have arguments, but at least we can say categorically that not everybody says categorically, yes, that's the way it happened. In fact, there are many that say it could never have happened that way. And that's only fair that we hear the other side of the story. And the exploration of space and what science has learnt in the last decades is just amazing and boggles the mind.